Well, everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Hey, everybody, Cantonese Cat here. You want a China update? I'll give you a China update. This is the Hang Seng Index, which is the index fund or index that you can see in Hong Kong Exchange. This is really where the majority of the major Chinese stocks are located. As you can see, and I was kind of warning you against this last week as well. It hit the monthly Ichimoku cloud, got rejected pretty severely. It's not just the monthly Ichimoku cloud, it also got rejected here at the upper Bollinger Band here. It was just way too far, way too fast. So what happened? Well, it gravitated back towards the tip top of the upper Bollinger Band. It does look like it wants to continue to break out. I don't have really any positions in Chinese stocks. I think the only China exposure I have is really U.S. companies. Like if you really want to get exposure to China, Tesla is a good way to do it. Bitcoin is a good way to do it too. If they're going to increase liquidity in China, you don't need to buy Chinese stocks, but these are running hot and they could potentially be a good trade. And I see them being bullish over the next 12 months, just objectively. I know nothing about the Chinese economy. I know that they're not doing very well. I know that their youth unemployment seem to be pretty high and that there's some real problems with them. But they're injecting a ton of liquidity in, and is really starting to show off as the stock market run that we've really had ever since February of 2024. Even if you just look at the Blackhead L3 banker, the whales really started coming in around April, and you have a buy flash signal that have flash over here for a buy here, but it just simply just ran way too far, way too fast. It just needed to cool off. Hitting some major resistance. I think that's all there is to it. On the weekly, this is a very good illustration in terms of what Chinese stock market wants to do. It pushed through, and this is probably not a good area to buy up here when things are just way outside the upper Bollinger Band, barely touching the upper Bollinger Band here with the wick. It's probably not a good area to buy. I mean, granted, it could have just kind of keep boom, boom, boom and be more irrational, but most likely the probability is that the next week's probably going to end up pulling back. And this is how bullish it has been. It's kind of touching the tip top of the upper Bollinger Band here on the weekly. It doesn't even want to get back inside. As soon as it got back inside the upper Bollinger Band, it all got bought up and it just kind of wanted to push out again. So remember how bearish this week has been for the Chinese stock market. This is not a bearish chart if you're looking at this particular time frame. It was very bearish when it was way outside the upper Bollinger Band, but we basically got back inside. Now, does it mean that we're going to push up a lot higher from here? I don't know. A lot of times when you have this kind of big correction, people get scared, and there could be potentially some sideways action here. We even got back down underneath the upper Bollinger Band here for a little bit, before pushing up. Or if this is really as impulsive as people think it is, then it could just getting just pushed up from here, which would be absolutely ridiculous to kind of think about. But yeah, I'm not bearish on the Hang Seng over the next 12 months. I do not know how far the Chinese economy can recover in a macro sense. I really don't know, but this really just looked like a completion of an Adam and Eve bottom over here, and we've got rejected here right at the waistline of the Adam and Eve bottom, right? The higher high over here, if you count this wick compared to there, we'll see how it goes. I think eventually it's going to end up forming higher high, and it's going to probably push up higher. And you also had a higher low over here compared to over here, right? So there's nothing really bearish about this chart right now at this particular moment in this time frame. The only thing is I just don't know how far this rally would go. I don't know whether or not it's necessarily going to end up, let's say, pushing through to pushing through this bearish trend line over here. Is it going to push through 28,000 and go a lot higher? I do not know the answer to that. I think it's going to take a lot of energy to even get up there. By the time when it gets up there, the bulls may be exhausted, and that could be the end of the Chinese rally. I don't know. Or it could push through. I have no idea. Again, I'm just looking at charts. I'm not here to speculate about the Chinese economy. With that said, let's look at Alibaba. Now, with Alibaba, I'm going to switch this over here to the weekly because I drew this Gann chart here on the weekly. And if you are looking at the weekly here, I do this on 720 and 2, which if I just kind of zoom out here a little bit, it gives me some pretty decent market symmetry. If not perfect, but it gives me some pretty decent market symmetry. You can see that the arcs here really more or less mark the cycle tops. And ever since it got rejected, the arc here, there's really no arc support. It just plummeted all the way down here to the 50s all the way from 300s, which is an absolutely ridiculous downturn, right? Well, what is happening right now? We're able to break through that arc, which is bullish, and right now we have pushed through this orange line here for the Gann square, and we have back tested it as support, right? That is exactly what we're seeing here. Now, I would like to see it break the 0.236 here. It has not quite gotten there yet, and it was pretty bad resistance here for the whole year in 2022. And we'll see whether or not we're able to break back above. But the entire bull trend up here, and it is a bull trend, there's no argument on that. It's just been a little bit way too far, way too fast. It's just broken way above the weekly upper Bollinger Band. You had last week, you had a candle close above the upper Bollinger Band. It's just unsustainable. So this week, you end up having a bearish engulfing, but you end up back testing the horizontal line here. I don't know whether or not it's going to end up having some further, bearish continuation before up. My speculation, it would be if we're able to kind of go sideways here and back test this, that would be perfect. But you're talking about a lot of potential support level a lot further down to like maybe even like 100 for the Tengen here, maybe next week, maybe even the 90s, right? You're talking about some pretty brutal correction after this big giant move up. I don't know whether or not it's going to go down. It could just consolidate sideways here a little bit further before breaking above the 0.236, but it's really needing to cool off before you're able to really break above that level, which again has been pretty strong resistance here throughout 2022. I would say that, yeah, maybe some reaccumulation here, but the Bollinger Band is expanding so impulsively over time is going to allow price to go up a lot higher. Just looking at the monthly here, you can tell that there's no argument that this is a bull trend. The 20-month has really been sort of flipping resistance here into support. And I think that the bull trend is probably going to end up keep going for the foreseeable future, at least through 2025. How far does it get? Does it get to the 0.382? Does it get to the arc up here? And then does it get up to the angle up here as well? I do not know the answer to that. Would it make an all-time high? I wouldn't necessarily count on that, but if it does, great for bulls, like absolutely great for bulls. I do not know the answer to that. I can see it totally hitting maybe the confluence of this arc and this angle over here, and that could be the end of the bull cycle. I do not know, but that is kind of what I'm seeing now. If you're also wondering, I also like JD. JD is basically doing the same thing. Flip to 20 here on 20-month average from resistance to support, and now it's flat now, right? This is no longer a bear trend. All it takes just 2 monthly candles. That's just absolutely ridiculous, right? If you look at the weekly here, what is it doing? Well, it is basically pushed way too far, way too fast above the upper Bollinger Band on the weekly, and it kind of want to get back down, but it just kind of touched the upper Bollinger Band. It doesn't even want to get back inside, right? And also back tested this angle over here. So JD is looking more impulsive than Alibaba. Actually, I would not be surprised if JD end up kind of outperforming Baba here a little bit. But yeah, like I can totally see JD continue to run. How far is it going to run? Is it going to make like this previous all-time high here? I don't know. It doesn't have to. All it has to do is maybe potentially hit this arc up here, and it can double up, or maybe even this arc up here, and it can double up in price, and it would still be a pretty significant gain for holders of JD, right? So one stock I've been asked about a lot is FUTU, and FUTU, if you just look at it, what is really doing, if you look at them from the monthly, that again was drawn on the weekly, so I'm just going to go ahead and get that out of the way here. You look at the monthly, what you're really seeing here is that FUTU is just way outside the upper Bollinger Band here on the monthly, so you expect some punishment here if you were to buy up all the way up there, right? And you shouldn't buy things, I mean, not financial advice, but you shouldn't buy things that are way overextended. But it's very similar to JD. It wanted to come back down, but it couldn't even get back underneath the upper Bollinger Band. It looks like it wants to have some cooling off here before some bullish continuation. Now, in terms of what I think, in terms of what the levels would be, I redrew this again. Initially, again, was drawn by monthly. I redrew this based on weekly now. And this weekly again is really showing me also very similar market symmetry. in terms of rejection here up on the arc, in terms of rejection here at the horizontal. And right now we have broken through the lower level of the arc up here, and we're back testing the lower part of the arc right here. It looks like it's holding so far. So the bottom of the arc right here is around maybe like 108, somewhere around there. I can totally see this week closing there, and it might even go sideways down the arc here to cool down before further bullish continuation, because right now we're waiting for the Bollinger Band to expand before pricing go up further. I do see some of the higher targets here being hit. I do see FUTU going back to its previous all-time high around around 204, and I can totally see the 1.618 here being hit as well for FUTU, just because of how impulsive price action is. I can totally see that, right? And the last stock I want to talk about is NIO, and I haven't talked about NIO for a very, very long time now. I have kind of changing my stance here with NIO. I think I'm seeing some technical changes here that are really getting me maybe a little bit less bearish on it. I still am not convinced that this is going to go back to all-time high, but there are some things I'm seeing. First of all, it's challenging a flattening 20-month moving average, which is always a good sign. So we'll see whether or not we're able to break above and go higher, but that's the first thing I think is very promising. The second thing that's very promising is I did draw again here using the weekly chart here, and I can see that with the Gann chart, you can see that it's broken above this arc here and it's trying to do a back test. Maybe this time hold. It didn't hold over here. Maybe this time hold, and if it's able to hold, it could go up a lot higher from here. Again, I'm not talking about NIO going to all-time high. All I'm saying is NIO could potentially hit the horizontal zone over here or the arc up here, and that could potentially double and triple, your money. If it's able to break through this bear market trend line over here too, right? I'm not making predictions that NIO is going to go back to all-time high. I don't know enough about the Chinese economy to make that prediction, but that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm seeing. I can probably see that there might be some additional cool off, maybe even go down the arc here a little bit and back test a little bit further before pushing through, building up some energy before pushing through this bear market trend line. But I do see potentially good things happening. Anyway, have a good one. Bye.